The last thing Jonathan Moss ever expected was to eject from a cargo freighter into the atmosphere of a planet with the unusual name of Thofax. Yet here he was, his survival capsule, affectionately dubbed the egg, plummeting through swirls of violet clouds with all the grace of a stone skipping across water. The capsule's exterior glowed red-hot, shedding layers of ablative material as atmospheric friction tore at its surface. Alarms blared inside the cramped compartment, but John could do little more than brace himself and hope for a gentle landing. With a final jarring impact, the capsule slammed into the soft sands of a lavender beach, sending up a plume of dust and pastel-hued debris. For a moment, silence enveloped the crash site, broken only by the gentle lapping of indigo waves against the shoreline. The hatch hissed open, and John crawled out, his legs unsteady beneath him. He shook his head to clear the dizziness of sand clinging stubbornly to his orange flight suit. As his vision steadied, John's eyes widened at the sight before him. A group of 5 young women stood at a cautious distance. Their skin, a mesmerizing shade of deep purple that seemed to shimmer in the Thonian sunlight. Their eyes were large and luminescent, reflecting hues of turquoise and gold, clad in garments woven from iridescent leaves and grasses. They appeared both ethereal and entirely at home in this alien landscape. "Hello!" John called out, his voice cracking unexpectedly. He fumbled with the thin translator device wrapped around his neck, which buzzed softly as it recalibrated to the local dialect. One of the women stepped forward. She was slightly taller than the rest, with a presence that suggested quiet confidence. "You fell from the heavens, Skyman," she said, her voice melodic yet accented, as if trying out human for the first time. "I am Celia, and these are the Lolek Suir, the maidens of our people." John managed a shaky smile, still brushing sand from his suit. "I'm John from Earth. It's, nice to meet you. My ship kind of disintegrated, so I guess I'm stuck here for a while." The women exchanged glances and whispered among themselves their language, a harmonious blend of notes that rose and fell like music. After a moment, Zephilia turned back to him, her eyes twinkling with curiosity. "Our elders are wise and carry the tales of our ancestors, but you, John from Earth, possess something rare. Stories untold on Thomex. Fresh tales of distant worlds and new experiences." John chuckled. "Really? I don't know if my life's all that exciting. Mostly mundane stuff, really. I'm just a cargo pilot who had a bit of bad luck." Celia's face lit up with enthusiasm. "That is precisely what we seek. The novelty of the unknown, the simplicity of everyday life beyond our skies. Our people find great joy in learning about the lives of others." He raised an eyebrow, intrigued by their eagerness. "Well, if my stories can help, I'd be happy to share them in return. Do you think you could help me find a way back home?" A collective murmur of agreement rippled through the group. Zelia extended her hand, her fingers slender and tipped with nails that shimmered like pearls. "Come with us, John. Our village is not far, and our elders will be eager to meet you." They led him along the shoreline, the landscape unfolding like a painting. Strange flora dotted the terrain, towering trees with spiraling branches, flowers that glowed softly from within, and vines that wove intricate patterns across the ground. Creatures fluttered by, some resembling butterflies with translucent wings, others like hummingbirds, but with tails that trailed light. The village appeared suddenly as they rounded a bend nestled within a grove of enormous bioluminescent trees. The architecture was a harmonious blend of nature and design, with structures crafted from petrified wood and adorned with flowing organic shapes. Homes were built into the trunks of ancient trees, or suspended among the branches connected by bridges woven from vines. John's awe didn't go unnoticed. Celia smiled softly. "Our people live in harmony with Thomex. We take only what is offered and leave the world as we found it." Over the following days, John found himself immersed in their world. In him, he began sharing stories of Earth, quaint tales of daily commutes, the frustration of navigating city traffic, the peculiarities of Earth's weather, and the absurdity of assembling flat-pack furniture with missing instructions. Each account was met with gasps of wonder, peals of laughter, or thoughtful questions that prompted deeper discussion. The Lolek Suir were fascinated by even the most mundane aspects of his life. "Tell us again about the rain that falls in tiny droplets," one would ask. "Or what is this pizza you speak of with endless combinations?" In turn, they introduced him to their customs. They taught him how to interpret the shifting patterns in the night sky, how each constellation told a story passed down through generations. They shared their music-haunting melodies, played on instruments that seemed to be extensions of the natural world, producing sounds that resonated deep within his chest. One evening, while sitting beneath the sweeping branches of a luminescent willow-like tree, John found himself alone with Celia. The twilight cast a soft glow across the village, and the air was filled with the gentle hum of nocturnal creatures awakening. "Do you miss your home?" Celia asked, her gaze fixed on the horizon, where twin moons began their ascent. John took a moment before answering. "I do, but being here has been unexpected, in the best way possible. It's like I've stepped into a storybook." She turned to him, a playful smile tugging at the corners of her mouth. "And yet our stories are so different from yours." He laughed softly. "That's what makes them interesting. There's so much we can learn from each other." Her eyes held his, a spark of mischief in their depths. In our culture, sharing one's most personal thoughts and experiences is considered a profound act of trust and connection. John felt a warmth rise to his cheeks. "Is that so?" Celia leaned in ever so slightly. "Indeed it is. Through such sharing that we truly come to understand one another. Perhaps there are experiences you have yet to share." He swallowed hard, the teasing lilt in her voice not lost on him. "Well, I'm not sure my life's been all that exciting." "Sure." She chuckled, a sound that sent a pleasant shiver down his spine. "Learning is always exciting, John, from Earth, and perhaps it's my turn to share now." Over the days that followed, Celia and the other Lolik Suir opened up more about their own lives. They showed him how they gathered energy from the planet itself, channeling it through crystals that amplified and stored the power. They demonstrated their art, painting intricate designs with pigments that shifted colors in the light. They taught him dances that mimicked the movements of Trojan wildlife, each step symbolically and purposeful. Their interactions were imbued with a subtle intimacy, a lingering touch here, a shared laugh there. John found himself drawn to Xenilia's wit and wisdom. She was patient, guiding him through their traditions, but also mischievous, delighting in his missteps as he tried to emulate their customs. One afternoon, as the sun cast long shadows across the village, Zetria led John to a secluded glade where the air was thick with the scent of blooming flowers. "Close your eyes," she instructed. He complied, feeling the soft grass beneath his feet. She placed something cool and smooth into his hands. "What is it?" he asked. "An Olara stone," she replied. "It captures memories. Hold it to your forehead and think of a moment that brings you joy." Curious John did as she said. Images of his childhood flashed through his mind, running through fields, laughing with friends, gazing at the stars through a telescope. The stone warmed slightly. "Now open your eyes," Celia whispered. He looked at the stone to see it glowing, softly swirling with colors that shifted like a nebula. "Amazing," he breathed. She smiled. "A part of you is now with us, preserved in the Olara. It is our way of keeping memories alive." Emotion welled up within him. "Thank you, Celia. This means a lot." She placed her hand over his. "We are grateful to have met you, John. Your stories, your presence, they've enriched our lives." Time passed quickly, and though John cherished every moment, the reality of his situation loomed. With the Elder's guidance, who, to his surprise, possessed a remarkable understanding of ancient astronautics, they began working on repairing the egg. It turned out that previous visitors had left behind knowledge that had been carefully studied and preserved. Together they repurposed his damaged capsule, integrating Thoian energy crystals and bioorganic materials to enhance its capabilities. The process was a marvel of collaborative effort, blending human engineering with alien innovation. Finally, the day of his departure arrived. The entire village gathered on the lavender beach to see him off. The sky was a tapestry of color, as the suns began to set, casting a golden glow over the sea. Zetria stood by his side as he made the final checks on the egg. "Promise me something," she said softly. "Anything," he replied, turning to face her. "Remember us, and if ever you find yourself among the stars, consider returning to Tholix." He smiled warmly. "How could I forget, eh? And I have a feeling this isn't goodbye. More like see you later." She reached into a pouch at her side and produced the Olara stone he had infused with his memories. Take this so a part of us goes with you. John accepted the gift, touched by the gesture. Thank you. I'll cherish it always. They embraced gently, a moment of understanding passing between them. As he boarded the egg, the villagers raised their voices in a harmonious chant, a farewell song that resonated through the air. The modified capsule ascended smoothly, powered by the new energy resources as Thonex grew smaller beneath him. John felt a mix of sadness and gratitude. His journey had been unexpected, but it had opened his eyes to the vastness and wonders of the universe in ways he could never have imagined. Returning to Earth was both strange and comforting. Familiar sights greeted him, the sprawling cities, the patchwork of landscapes, the ever-busy people going about their lives. But John knew he was changed. He carried with him not just stories, but experiences that had deepened his understanding of connection and cultural exchange. When he recounted his adventures, friends and colleagues listened in awe. His tales of purple-skinned maidens, living forests, and the enchanting world of Troy captivated everyone. Some were skeptical, attributing his accounts to the hallucinations of a man lost in space. But the Olara stone he carried, which glowed with an inner light and displayed shifting colors, silenced most doubts. Jonathan Moss had left Earth as a simple cargo pilot and returned as a storyteller, an ambassador of sorts between worlds. He spoke at conferences, shared his experiences with scientists and dreamers alike, inspiring a new wave of interest in the cosmos. Late at night, he would often gaze up at the stars, the Olara stone in his hand, and wonder what Zelelia and the Lolik Suyir were doing. He could almost hear their laughter, the melodies of their songs drifting across the vast expanse of space. One evening, as he contemplated the sky, a familiar shimmer caught his eye, a falling star streaking across the darkness. He smiled to himself, whispering, "Until we meet again, Celia." And so Jonathan Moss, the man who crash-landed on an alien world and traded tales for friendship, carried forward with a newfound purpose. His stories bridged worlds. His experiences ignited imaginations, and his heart remained forever touched by the enchanting planet of Thalax and its remarkable people.